my audience is buying my merch, my family is buying my merch, my friends are buying my merch, people who don't want my merch is buying my merch.
Squeegee Podcast Season 2. This podcast is sponsored by Blind Maggot, Magna Colours, M&R, Target Transfers, and Adobe Creative Suite.
Hi everyone, my name is Allan Wade from A-Dubb Productions. I'm so honored to be on your podcast. Thank you so much for having me. What do you want to know? A little bit about myself?
Yeah, I feel like you got like this really rich history, but yeah, maybe just like how you got into garment decoration and what you did before, because that was really interesting.
Okay, so yeah, before I worked 20 something years for Amtrak, National Railroad Passenger Corporation, and I'm also a disabled Navy veteran. And I started my garment decorating journey. It was actually an accident because my mother asked me to get some shirts made for her brother, and he had ships. So she asked me to get some shirts made from somebody, and I knew that there was this device called a silhouette cameo. So I asked her if we could like go half on the machine. So we bought one off Amazon, and I had previously purchased a heat press already that was in my garage hanging up on a shelf because I knew I wanted to make t-shirts.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me back up a little bit. So I prior to that, I did music. I sang R&B, and I wanted a way for my audience to connect with me more. So I started making music videos, and then I want to generate some more revenue from my music. So I knew that, I see people selling merchandise. So let me make some t-shirts. So I bought a heat press from eBay. I bought a heat press and a hat press set. I don't think it was like $350, maybe at the time. It's cheap heat press. I worked it after I got it, and I put it in my garage, hung it up. So it was probably on the garage for like 2 to 3 years in the garage. And then my mom asked me to make the shirts. We got this silhouette cameo. It came with no instructions at all. So I got into figuring it out, watching videos and figuring it out. And the questions that I had about it that wasn't answered online, I made some videos on it so that I can help other people. And those questions, that video got more questions, and I started making more videos to answer that question. But prior to, I was already making YouTube videos because I was already posting how-to videos and music videos and all types of silly stuff and cinematic stuff and B-roll footage. There's all types of stuff on my channel. But that's how my garment decorating journey started. Then I started selling t-shirts every now and then, and tried to expand with other machines, and so that's how I got started.
Doesn't it? It just goes like snowballs. And then how many machines have you got in the background now?
So we have a Racoma MT1501. That's a single head embroidery machine. We have a Racoma MT1502, a 2-head embroidery machine. We have a Racoma MT2002 8S. That's another 2-head machine. And we have machines all over this room right here. If we scoot down, I'm scooting you guys around. We have a Racoma EM1010, a single needle machine. We have a post bed sewing machine. We have another lock stitch machine. We have the area where I make my videos right here. We got a white toner transfer printer right here. We got a DTG machine next to it. We got a bunch of machines in here. So just trying to give myself an opportunity to never say no to a client. We also have some screen printing equipment back here. And why don't we do this?
That's what I'm excited to see how you're getting on with that bit.
You're floating. Okay, so with screen printing, my biggest challenge that I'm facing right now is learning the art of separations. I have Illustrator, I have the Photoshop, and I actually purchased Corel Draw because I go to conventions a lot, and the Corel Draw booth, they always have little plugins with Illustrator to simplify color separations. But I don't quite have a grasp on it yet, so I'm just doing single colors on my Riley Hopkins 250. It says at the bottom right there. So, and I'm currently burning my screens. It's the best solution that I found. It's been around for a while. I know people have heard about it, and there's all types of ways to burn
They've got
screens now.
so many opinions on that machine that I want to
Right, so many
talk to you
opinions on
about.
this machine.
It's
It
like
is.
Marmite, yeah.
So I look at it like this, right? With technology and garment decorating, it's like every time in every industry, whenever something new comes out, it's always rejected, right? You know, people had opinions about electric cars, right? Most recently, and now kind of everybody's getting into it. So it's like years ago, guess what? If we knew Amazon was going to be what it was today, we would all bought stock, right? We'd all bought stock. We'd all backed it up. They started selling books, and the bookstores were like, whatever. And now you're lucky if you can find a bookstore anywhere, right? So it's like, this is kind of like the same thing. It's like, how do we, these industries, it's very, very interesting and exciting times in garment decorating industries, and with every technology, whether you're DTG, DTF is big right now, whether you're screen printing, it's interesting for everybody because all these new technologies are coming out. And this, even though it's been out for a while, you know, it's still, people are skeptical about it because not that many people are using it. But I found that it takes all these different pieces of equipment and puts it in one. So it works for me. Like, I don't have to have a dark room. I don't have to go get screen stretched. I can stretch my own screen right here with just you know, some household power tools. And no emulsion, no nothing, no chemicals. It's just burn the screen, put it up on it, and it works for me, right? So, you know, I respect screen printing. It's very, and I say this in all my videos, screen printers are to be respected at all times because it's really,
they're opinionated.
A lot goes into screen printing, and I've seen the work that goes into it. But and you know, it's a way to pump out a lot of volume, move a lot of volume, right? But you know, a certain amount of space and a certain amount of tidiness is involved with it. It can be really, really messy. So it's a lot. I respect screen printers a lot, a great deal. So yeah.
So if people are just listening and they can't see what you're talking about there, you've got, is it the My Screen or what was it called? The Gokko
So
Pro?
this one, I have a My Screen, but this one is called the Gokko Pro QS200. And it's actually a thermal printer. So it takes a screen, right? So this is a screen that I stretched with screws on the side, right? I don't know if you guys see the screws on the side. And I just lay my screen on top of the machine right here. And I connect my computer to it via USB to the back via USB. And whatever image I have on my screen, whatever, like if I'm doing separations, obviously I'll have like 3 or 4 screens, and whatever image I have, this machine right here will just burn the screen for me. So it's like done, and it's so fast. If you're doing a 1-color job, if you're doing a 2-color job, there's no way in the world, and respectfully, screen printers, please forgive me, but there's no way in the world, I don't care. Well, I don't know because I don't have that much experience, but watching traditional screen printing where you have to coat the screen, let it dry, right? Burn the screen, right? Wash it out, dry it. That's a long setup, and that involves a lot of different equipment. It involves a washout booth. And when you got the washout booth, you have to, you know, dispose of your chemicals properly, or or you're doing a disservice to the environment, right? And you can get in trouble from what I gather. But this eliminates all of that. So like when I was looking for a solution, I'm researching all these different pieces, and I'm like, all in one.
Why is no one doing this one? Yeah.
Right. Why is no one doing this one? Because, you know, people like to do what they like to do. And, you know, I don't, you know, do whatever makes you happy. As long as at the end of the day, I want people to know that, like, as long as you're doing what you love to do and you're doing it in a way that you enjoy doing it. Because part of garment decorating, whether you're doing it for a living or doing it because you love it and you're trying to transition into making a full-time income with it, I believe if you really, really enjoy doing it, that's what matters the most. Because if you enjoy doing it, you can be sustainable. You can do it effortlessly. You can love what you do on a day-to-day basis, and that within itself will make the difference with whether you're successful or not. Because you know, you're doing what you like, and you feel fulfilled. You feel like you have a purpose. You feel like you're, you know, imagine getting paid and making a living for something that you would be doing anyway.
I know that. Yeah, that's how I
Right.
feel about it too. But with that technology, I actually was in the kind of, that's a rip-off thing in my head. I wasn't like communicating it, but
Yeah.
I think what's happening is that's coming from one side of the technology, but you are seeing things like laser to screen imaging on screens now.
Yep.
And there's technology trying to get away from manual coating because there's auto coaters. There's like printing with wax on the screens. There is a demand for making like screen making more efficient and up with technology. So like I don't think it's there yet, the Gokko Pro, because of like tension issues and registration and just like screen breakdown. Perhaps it might not last as long as emulsion, but there's something there. I feel like it just needs just a little, like maybe a couple more years or something, but
I think
DTG had
you're
that
right
as well. So
yeah. I think you're absolutely right, because there are some definite things using this technology that I'm like, okay, well, can you guys do this? Or it seems like they just made it and they just, okay, have fun. Like they're not, this company right here is not like continuing to advance that technology. They're like, okay, this is it. Have fun, figure it out. So I believe it's partially the company's fault, because a lot of these different companies, like you mentioned, that have the laser screen making, they're constantly improving on their technology and figuring out the software so it can, the user interface and the end user can have a easier experience. Whereas these guys, they might need somebody else to pick up from where they left off. But I mean, it works. And I know I have a screen printer friend whose one of his machines is down right now, which forced him to use his Gokko Pro, and he's not having any issues. Initially, when he started using it, he said the same thing you said, like, how many prints can I do before the screen starts to break down? And that is an issue. Like, because even right now with my little like 50 shirts that I'm doing, I'm like, okay, this is a screen acting weird, but I can't be a good judge of that because I'm just getting started. I'm using old inks that were handed down to me, but I bought a bunch.
You don't know what variable might be letting you down.
Exactly. So I can't, like, I'm not a good person to answer that question. So like, but I'm having a good time with it.
Yeah. I actually had a different application for it at the weekend. So this one girl, she uses it for ceramics. And she makes the whole screen, then chops them up into little ones. And then she just puts them on the bottom of all her like mugs and bowls and things. And I thought that's genius. Because you don't want to have to learn the entire art of screen printing. She just wants to get straight down to a stencil. And she's just thinking of it like that.
I think that I think there's still value. There's a great deal of value in learning the entire process, but I guess I just don't want to do it because I don't want to have a dedicated dark room and a dedicated washout booth. And those are things that require a large amount of space. But I think people should definitely still embrace the traditional way, because if they don't, then eventually, I mean, it's not going to be lost because there's so many screen printers out there, but eventually it could start to fade away and, it's forgotten, and as these new technologies emerge. And with every industry, knowing the basics can take you so much farther, because like when technology fails, all we have is, okay, how do we do this manually? That's all we have, because technology does fail. These machines do break, right? Your computer will crash. You will get a virus. You will drop it off the side of your Gokko Pro, right? So all types of variables can happen. Like recently, yesterday, I was using my my DTG with no problem. I downloaded a new program that I want to try out, and my DTG software is not talking to my DTG. So literally when we get off this call, I have to figure that out because I have a job to do with 50 shirts that I have to do today. And I can't, my computer's not communicating with that. So technologies will fail. So there's a whole lot of value, not only from the perspective where, you want to know where it came from, but from the troubleshooting perspective. If because all these new technologies kind of work based off of the old technology. So knowing how to do it traditionally can help you troubleshoot when you have issues with this technology, because you understand the nuances of how this technology was actually constructed and formulated, you know? So
yeah. There's even people like mixing vinyl with their screens and making the stencils there, but you've got so much kit now. You must be able to, if someone gives you a t-shirt design, you're like, right, I can do this in 10 different ways now. I could embroider, I could make a really cool embroidery, or like, how are you making those choices on budget, or
I
what the customer
love
asks for?
having different equipments, just like you said, because when somebody has an idea, a customer comes to you with an idea, they know that they want a good shirt, right? They might request screen printing because that might or I like to say vinyl gets a bad rap, right? Vinyl gets a bad. I don't want that stick on stuff. I don't want that. I don't want the stuff that's gonna peel up, right? But they don't really know what they want, right? So you can kind of like figure out what's the best method you could use to make this garment, to decorate this garment for them that's gonna give them the best quality. And even sometimes when people like say the vinyl thing, I say, well, hold up for a second. You know, you're not thinking about the fact that, you know, if that does start to come up, you can put a piece of cloth on it, regular iron, good as new. You know what I mean? But I like the idea of knowing all these different technologies for that reason, because you can give them something that they weren't expecting. I'm waiting for somebody to come out. I was thinking the other day with a platen that I can take off of my DTG printer, keep the same registration, and put onto the screen print machine and keep that would be awesome, right? There's an idea for somebody watching this, somebody listening. You guys got to come out with that, a platen that you can take off of your interchangeable platen without losing registration. Screen printing to DTG or DTG to screen printing, that would be amazing, right?
Yeah.
Combine the two technologies. But you know, but they have, I go to these conventions and I've seen screen printing equipment that can create DTG quality prints. So it's like, you know, maybe you don't need that.
Yeah. No, but maybe
So,
you do. Who knows? Maybe you want to put like a high build screen print on it or something. There's a company that just makes platens for DTG. I think they're called like Key Print.
Yep.
Yeah.
Shout out to that guy. He's a great guy. Yeah.
He's probably the guy, and he's just heard that, and now he's just like going back
He
into
probably
his...
has that idea, right? He's probably trying to figure out how to do it, right?
Yeah. But like with all the different applications, what I found difficult when I offered more than just screen print and embroidery was like pricing, because how do you do that? Because you're saying you never want to turn down a customer. Does that mean you don't have minimum orders, or how do you figure out the price of a shirt, and like what do you base it on?
So I like to so first of all, what I like to tell everybody is because traditionally, like normally a person starting off, first of all, let me say that the small customer is the customer base that I try to cater to, because a small customer is often the customer that can't get anything made because everybody wants to do large quantity, right? So I'm like, okay, well, let me do the opposite. Let me just like get all these small orders. One, because small money equals big money, and two, because there's a large group of people that need stuff done that nobody's catering to, right? Or not a lot of people are catering to. And a third reason, here's another reason, is because maybe I don't want those large orders, because I can get done a small order faster and just sit down and breathe. I enjoy time to myself, right? But I like to tell everybody, like, because oftentimes I hear people when they're doing pricing, they factoring the cost of this, the cost of that, the cost of this, the labor, the thread, and all this other stuff, or the inks. But oftentimes people forget to price in their most valuable asset, which is their time. And I feel like if you start with your time first and work your way down, you can never go wrong with pricing. How much time is it going to take me to do this, right? How many, you know, and divide that by how many hours you want to pay yourself. And that's kind of like how I build my structure for timing. And if it, you know, your time is your most valuable asset, then you should, and you know that you can produce a quality garment for a customer, you should not be ashamed to charge them for your time, because again, that's your most valuable asset. That's what we all have in common. And it's actually a disservice to the whole industry if people are not charging appropriately for their time, because your time is the one thing that really matters. If you go work a regular job, you get paid for your time per hour, right? Or if you're on salary, you still have to be there a certain amount of time, a month or a week, right? So like
Mhm.
you should, I find if you charge for your time first and work your way backwards, I always end up with a good fair price. And if the customer is not willing to pay that, then maybe, it depends on your situation. If you're just starting off, you might want to work with somebody, right,
Yeah.
to get a fair price. But you ultimately you have to remain profitable to sustain yourself. So, I say time first. Charge
Okay.
time and then work your way backwards. And then look at your price and compare it to other people and say, like, does this make sense? Okay. If it's higher, am I capable of producing a product that is quality enough that I can charge higher? So many different
Yeah.
variables. Yeah.
But do people ever like push back on that, or do they just trust you because they've watched so much of your content, or how are they
Yeah.
finding you?
Yeah, and that's another variable too. Because I am a YouTuber and I have a fairly a nice audience, people tend not to push back that much. But that's the value of social media, right? And if you're a
Mhm.
garment decorator or whatever you're doing, whatever your industry is, it really pays to put yourself out there and what you do out there. Because if you're the individual that's known to do that thing and you're the professional in that specific business, then people don't mind paying for your services because you're that guy that they saw, or you're that woman that they saw doing the thing and they like your
Mm.
stuff, so they want their stuff produced by you, so they don't mind paying that premium to say, yeah, A-Dubb did this,
Yeah, yeah,
what it's a
yeah.
conversation piece. So
Yeah, but it's also you haven't just done the doing it for other people. You kind of carried on the merchandise through this. So A-Dubb is its own kind of brand in itself. So you're
yeah,
like your own brand again. So where's the
yeah.
end? Like, so you've got merchandise, and like, can you talk to us about the merchandise side and how people get that and who's buying that type of thing?
So my audience is buying my merch, my family's buying my merch, my friends are buying my merch. People who don't want my merch is buying my merch, because as people come to my production studio and they see stuff, they go shopping. Like everybody walks in here, goes shopping. People online, I throw stuff on Facebook. Everybody's like buying like crazy. Even customers that I'm doing custom work for, they'll come to pick up their orders and they'll pick something up. So it's like, the possibilities are endless when you're doing this. And it's like a lot of the opportunity will come from ideas that you didn't necessarily have. And that's what happened with me. Like, okay, I have my brand, Black Bear. I also have A-Dubb and A-Dubb Productions. I sell A-Dubb merch. But a lot of these other things that happened, like customers requested, and I said, "Okay," and I created a spin-off idea of it, and or my YouTube audience might ask me, hey, why don't you do this? And I'm like, oh, why don't I do that? And then
Yeah,
I
yeah,
start doing it. But now I like to tell people that my gift and my curse is the ability to come up with ideas so often. That's why when I do my content on YouTube, I'm always giving people ideas of of ways they can create revenue for themselves, because I come up with ideas all day, and
mm.
I'm only one person. And just like everybody else, my time is limited. I know I'm not going to do everything that I come up with, every idea that I come up with. So I give my audience ideas. And oftentimes what I find, unfortunately, is that like people are satisfied with knowing the process, and not everybody's going to actually put in the work, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Hmm.
so it's like, I think sometimes in many different industries, we get infatuated with the thought that somebody's going to steal my idea, when in fact that your idea is just a thought, right? It
Yeah.
it takes no effort to have a thought. But if somebody actually puts in the work and makes your idea actual tangible thing, that's actually the beauty, and that's actually the difficult part of it, to take that thought and put in the work to make it an actual thing that somebody appreciates and somebody can hold and touch and interact with, and to see that thing and to have that thing, that's the actual
Mm.
work. So when people say like, yeah, hey, I don't want to tell anybody because they're going to steal my idea. Well, how long have you had this idea? Have you even
Yeah.
tried? Have you even tried this idea? And that goes into, like, I want people to think now, that goes into customers too. You have customers or potential customers, or even potential collaborators or potential whatever they are, right? They come to you and they say, hey man, I want to collaborate with you. I got this idea. Wait, stop right there. How much work have you put into the idea? Because
Yeah, do
I
you
have
want
a
me to
bunch of
put in the
stuff,
work?
right? I have a bunch of stuff that I want to do with my time for myself, that a bunch of ideas that I have that I'm actually working towards, but you have an idea and you want to pitch it to me, but do you really want to pitch it to me because we're going to do this together, or do you want me to do the work? And 9 out of 10, it's because they want you to do the work and they want the credit for it, or half the credit for it, or something like that. So you got to be very, very careful in all these different industries on how you're spending your time and what you choose to get involved with. So it's a whole bunch of things I learned along the years, and I'm still learning. So
yeah. But it sounds harsh, but like if people are saying, oh, why don't you do this on your YouTube comments, you're like, why don't you do that? Because you could make a business around any idea. You could have like,
right.
Okay, my business is, it could be about, I don't know, bees on jumpers, and you can make $100,000 business about that, or anything.
You can make money from anything. It's crazy these days, right?
I know. So like going back to like garment decoration and the thing that you've really, that you couldn't live without in your studio because it's quite diverse, like, do you think embroidery is your main pull, or what do you reckon's made you the most money in terms of revenue?
Embroidery hands over fist.
Yeah.
Embroidery hand over fist, right? So I know screen printers, for example, they can say like, if you have a large screen printing house with a big automatic machine, right? You could probably pump out a lot of move a lot of volume, make a lot of shirts. But with embroidery, the profit is like, to me, it seems like ridiculous. I made this profit calculator, and it's like the more heads you have, if you get like a large order, you can, it's like having more heads on your screen printing machine, right? The more heads you have with embroidery, you can fulfill these orders so fast, and the profit margin for embroidery, because it's like a premium garment decorating method, you can charge more because people, I mean, look at this, like it's not flat. It has some it's part of the garment now, right? It's not coming off, right? You can't wash this, you can't
trust it,
you know what I mean? It's like it's on there, it's in there, it's part of the garment now. I embroidered it on. So I think everybody throughout their life, even when I was younger, I would go into stores and look at embroidery and be like, okay, that's expensive. That's got to be expensive. You know what I mean? So that, I think everybody's had that thought before, because when you see a nice embroidered thing, you're like, okay, I know I'm going to pay some money for that, right? And so it demands that premium. But when you have so many heads, your time, you're saving so much time, just like screen printing, right? You have more heads, you're saving so much time, and you can make so much money to the point where the cost of the machines seems so minute. So and I actually like the whole embroidery process, with having a thought and creating a design and digitizing it. And I just find it fascinating because there's so many different things you can do within the software to tell the machine to stitch out different types of stitches, different ways, and blend the different threads and different colors and stuff like that. So I just think it's so cool. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So would you recommend to people like to do their own digitizing, or do you, because basically I've never done my own digitizing. I always send it out and I'm always like, is that good? I'm not sure. So I really, that is a subject that I want to like explore a bit more, but do you feel like having that control in-house is really important?
I think that it's a good idea to have a understanding of digitizing. I think it's a good idea to have digitizing software. If you have an embroidery machine and it's your business, you should definitely have a software, and you should definitely know how that software functions and some basic principles of it, because after you have that understanding, then outsource, unless you plan on digitizing for a living or having that being part of your business. Because if you get a design from your digitizer and you might have a deadline, and you embroider it out and something needs to be adjusted, right? Then you got to email somebody, or you got to call somebody, and then you got to say, hey, I need this done ASAP. And then they're on to the next job. And then you're biting your nails, like, okay, I hope he sends this back now or today, or, a couple of days from now. So it's really handy to be able to throw that native file in the embroidery software, make it bigger, or take some density out of this specific part, of the design, it's really handy to know the basic functionalities. And and it's also like, if you know how to digitize, you can know if your digitizer is giving you a good file, you know, and you can know how you want it stitched out. You can say, hey man, like this design is 6 colors and you got 6 colors of thread piled on top of each other. Like, come on, put some holes in there so everything's not on top of each other. It's crazy. So yeah, so you're not using up so much thread. And you know, the more thread your design takes, the longer it's going to take to stitch out. So you know, you might want to reduce some of the thread count. So it's a bunch of different little tips and tricks in knowing. It's very valuable to know every aspect of your industry, whatever it is, even if you don't choose to engulf your day-to-day, you know, responsible duties on that specific thing. It's really valuable to know it, just like it's valuable, like in screen printing, to know the traditional way, you know. But
I know.
I tried it.
I don't
tried
value
it
enough accidentally.
You know, yeah. So I tried to burn a screen, and like that's why I said, look, screen printers ought to be respected at all times. So much goes into it, including reclaiming screens. That's a whole nother process where you're not even making money. You're just reclaiming a screen just so you can use it again. That's so much involvement, and it's so much time that goes into it. And I keep on saying time. Notice I'm saying time between everything, because time is one variable. You got to charge for that, right? So
yeah. I do kind of agree with you though, because if I was in your situation and my most valuable asset is time, you can't really argue with the fact that if me and you were in a race with a blank screen and a design file, you could technically get it on the shirt quicker if that was the thing you're trying to do. But yeah, I don't know.
I did a live video with Rob Beats. Shout out to Rob Beats. And he traditionally screen prints, and he has a fairly fast screen method. His exposure unit, right? His screen was burnt. His screen was coated already, right? So already, I think that's even, because my screen tech is coated already. So yeah, we did a race and it was lights out. It was like night and day. But he also cut corners, but it's okay. It was still night and day. Yeah. So we did a live, and actually I did a live, burned my screen, and I raced him while he was pre-uploaded video, and of course I won. But like, you know, people are gonna come in and argue. argue.
It's good that it's controversial, because we want some of it. We want some of the ideas in our industry as well, like in the, I don't know, the more traditional screen print world. But like, you've done comparison videos recently about DTF versus DTG, because that's a huge topic at the moment. What were your findings on the video? Because you
so my findings were that DTG and the hand feel, like, I remember it's so weird that we're having this discussion, because just a few years ago DTG was like, get out of here, DTG, and now we're like, is DTF good enough? But yeah, so DTG still to me beats DTF because of the feel. You know, everybody always talks about the feel of the garment, right? And when I use my DTG printer, it just has a better feel. It just has a more softer, more ingrained in the material type of feel, right? Whereas though DTF, my DTF machine, it doesn't quite have that feel. It's kind of like a hybrid between white toner and DTG. It's like a hybrid in between DTF, the feel of it. But even the big houses that have the big expensive DTF equipment, there's still a feel on there that's not as good as DTG. It doesn't feel as good, like a Supercolor, a TKO, a Transfer Express. They still have a feel on it with their DTF transfers, right? And these, I even had arguments with people on my channel saying that you know, my DTF machine in the house prints just as good as Supercolor. I'm like, that's what you think, bro. Like, no, it doesn't. Like, you know, these people have hundreds of thousands of dollars invested in equipment. Your little $16,000 printer
misaligned white, I know,
right, it's not doing that. So I'm sorry, but I've seen the equipment there, and yeah, we can't do that, sir. Like, but
Yeah.
you know, it's okay. It's good conversation to have because, and some of these big print houses will tell you that their methods that they're using, but it's good. It's good friendly back and forth, and it pushes the industry forward. It educates people, you know, and it gets people thinking about all these different methods. And that's why I love making videos where I get people to really think about stuff, because online, right, people will say anything, and like it's so easy to believe somebody because you're saying it, so it must be true, right? You must be this or you must be that. And at home, people watch videos and they say, well, so and so said so and so, so that's what it is. So I get people to like really think about things because I'm a logical thinker, and I try to explain things in ways that kind of like make sense to people so they can think for themselves. I'm like, well, if this is this, I can't give you an example off the top of my head, but
Yeah.
like I like to really get people to think before rather than just taking information for face value, you know, because that's what people do oftentimes online.
Yeah, because you might be in the first experience of any garment decoration, and then you might have just said something like DTG is the best, like just like one little line, and then they've got that in their mind impregnated as like everything else has to contend with it or something.
Exactly.
I know,
Yeah.
So leading on from that, because you're definitely going to have one, what is your like unpopular opinion about the whole garment decoration industry?
Unpopular opinion. Well, I don't know. What is my unpopular opinion? I don't think that some people think that it's oversaturated. I don't think it's as oversaturated as people believe. I think that a lot of people that are getting into the industry think that they're just going to get in and make a ton of money. And I don't think they realize how much work and effort goes into actually turning profit and making a living full time off of it. I don't think that people understand that. That's why you see so much used equipment online, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But an unpopular opinion, I don't know.
Here we go.
I got a
I knew it was coming. There you go. So funny.
Specific to the Racoma machines, it's been a really big battle, uphill battle for me because you know, my machines work fine. But when I got into multi-needle embroidery machines, I researched and I decided to go with Racoma machines, and Racoma had a really bad rep online. And I think they still get a bad rep online, but the machines in my opinion, they work fine. They're great machines, and it's all about, you know, you learning how to use your machine. And I could, the best way I can make this analogy, Racoma machines are like the traditional way of screen printing, right? So if you can dial in the settings and get it to work right, then you're fine, right? So you got knobs, right? Whereas though the new technology with the newest machines might have auto tensioners. So if something goes wrong, you don't know how to set your tension, right? So that's the best analogy I can make. But I have ran some more expensive machines that are supposed to be creme de la creme, and they don't run any better than my machines. That's what I found personally. I'm not going to name any names or anything because I'm not here to company bash, because I believe all machines are great. What matters is that you get in there, get what you need to get and make some money, right? And so you can, you know, you and your family can live better lives. That's what I believe. But it's all the stuff in between is fun too. It's fun, you know, and it's conversation starting, and it like pushes the industry forward because it makes these companies like, okay, we need to listen to these people because this is what they're talking about, right? So
they do need some big help though, because I looked at all the different embroidery machines as well, like you did. But I just saw Racoma, and in the UK, it was like someone had gone round and just badmouthed them on every single platform and every review and every comment. And I was like, I don't think I can even touch this because it's mean. So it did put me off. And if you're on the edge, if you're like in between the two, it's going to push you over the edge. So they need to do some kind of like tidying up online, I think.
I think they're getting there, but I found out using my logical thinking method what the problem was.
Right.
Want to know what the problem was?
Yes, please.
This is what the problem was, right? So I think we can all agree that, okay, so as far as a all embroidery machine perspective, Ricoma probably falls right in the middle. Not the worst, not the best, right? That's what people, or maybe leaning towards bad, but not the worst, right?
Yeah.
There are lower end
they're
machines.
not, they're pricing themselves in that lower end machine. So they're not trying
Right.
to be a Baradin, are they? But yeah.
You just said it. You just said it. Okay. So Ricoma, as far as I know, I might be wrong, but Ricoma is the first embroidery machine company that started making the machines easily accessible to people that ordinarily wouldn't be able to afford the machines. They offered 0% financing, right? So other than before Ricoma, I don't think any other company was doing that. Now everybody else is following suit, right? But when they did that, people started getting these machines that didn't need to have these machines.
Yeah.
So you had a large group of people that had Ricoma machines because that's what they can get, because they had 0% financing. The machine was affordable. Every other machine, you got to pay 16,000, 17,000, 18,000. Ricoma 0% financing for 10, 15 years. So I sat down. I thought, how did they get in this spot? Oh, that's why. Same reason why I bought one. One of the reasons why I bought one, 0% financing, right? So I'm like, that's what happened. That's why these machines are all over the place. And that's why people are talking trash, because because I went online, I saw, okay, you got in the same group, you have people bashing the machines, but then you have a bunch of people embroidering beautiful things, loving their machines. So I'm like, what's the variable here? The variable is the person. So if a group of people are getting it to work and they love it, and the variable is the person.
Yeah.
But if you go in other embroidery groups, all different companies, everybody complains about the same issues. But the variable is more people have Ricoma machines because Ricoma was the first company that came out with 0% financing.
Yeah,
that's what I think.
Could be. It could be. Yeah. I've seen do you know how you just join the Facebook group of the machine that you've got? I've seen in there's the real veterans, and they're like, oh, if someone comes in, they're like, I hate Melco, Melco sucks or something, just because what I've got.
Right.
Then the like old veteran would be like, have you seen how many people are in this Facebook group? There's like 13,000 people. How many? That's 13,000 machines. They're all running fine.
Running fine. Exactly. Yeah. So, you know, interesting stuff. That's why I like to get people to think like, hey, it's a tough thing in life to come to grips with the fact that maybe you might be doing something wrong. Like, oh, it can't be me. It's got to be this machine. It can't be me. I read the instructions. I took the training class. I turned the knob the same way the guy said to turn it. I did this. It can't be me, right? So yeah, it's most of the time it's user error.
Yeah, no.
With all these technologies.
Yeah, and all the way down to like inks to a certain extent. There's like hobby ink, which is shit, sorry. And then it goes into professional ink. And then anywhere you go in there, you should be able to figure it out.
Right.
And just by troubleshooting. So
and somebody starting off wouldn't know that. Right. Somebody starting off wouldn't know that. But I find oftentimes that years later, if people stick to it, or even months later, if they stick to it, they slowly backpedal and convert into, like, you know, posting their jobs. I'm like, oh, you're doing that on that same Ricoma machine that okay. Interesting, right? So sometimes, you know, we put the pedal before the horse. How do you say that? Put the
horse before the
horse,
no, the cart before the horse.
Right, one of those things, right? So yeah, oftentimes people do that, and you know, it's okay. It's part of the learning experience. We all go through it. You know, I kind of had an easier route because I purchased single needle machines, and I kind of like had a concept of tension, and I had a concept of what thread is supposed to do, and I knew how to digitize already. So I kind of had an easier route than a lot of people. But if you just dive into the multi-needle embroidery world, I don't care what machine you're gonna have, what machine you get, you're gonna have issues, right? Even Melco, shout out to Melco, because they have the automatic tensioning. I think another machine probably has that too, but The reason why I didn't go with Melco is because their machine needs to have a computer connected to it to operate.
Mm.
But guess what? There are tons of people with Melcos embroidering beautiful things. So you can make money with Melcos. You can make money with all these machines, right?
Yeah.
So this isn't about a machine thing. It's just, I forgot how we, oh yeah, you asked me my unpopular opinion. That's how we segued into that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like so say if you're like trying to figure out your week, you've got so many different revenue streams and avenues and things going on with like teaching other people. I know that you're doing the YouTube videos and you're kind of like documenting your whole life. So is that like a habit that you've just built in, like document everything? That might be a mantra.
Yeah. I love having different revenue streams just in case one thing crash and burns. I'm not high and dry, right?
Yeah.
But also I think there's so much value in people seeing other people just like themselves go from here to there or whatever you might, it's like I even documented when I, got disqualified from my job after 20 years for being colorblind and stuff like that. I documented so much of everything from when I first bought my Cameo, even before I bought my Cameo and I was making music videos. It's all there for everybody to see up to the point where I am now. And I'm still going, trying to figure out other aspects of business in general. So I think that's important for people to see because it gives a lot of people that might be in certain situations a sense of, yo, look at, oh my God, let me go back. Oh, wow. He's in his kitchen, just like I'm in my kitchen, like, okay. And now he's, oh my gosh, 5 years later, like, okay, so they can see and they can not only get a feel and really believe that they can do it and they can better themselves or do whatever it is they set themselves out to do, but you can see the actual steps that I took to get there and all the different equipments that I got, why I got it and how I got it and how things grew. I love it. I love it. I love doing it because I love to help people feel encouraged.
Yeah. I accidentally asked you the wrong question, but I was just trying to figure out like how much of your time you spend on like doing customer orders, or do you like take an hour at the end of the day to like make the YouTube video that you wanted to make, or how do you split up that time type of thing?
That's tough. So so prior to starting to do custom orders, like I'm so fortunate and I thank God for it because a lot of the things that I do right now is kind of like by accident. So I was making the videos just to show people how to do stuff, right? With the Cameo, and then I got the single needle showing people how to use that. So I was infatuated with YouTube and helping people and showing people how to, that was my strength and that's what I wanted to stay doing. But when I got the multi-needles, when I got my first multi-needle, I started getting requests to make stuff. And I turned down so many people for it's potential income, right? And I like diversity, right? I turned down so many jobs and I felt like a hypocrite in a way because it's like I'm showing you how to do this stuff so you can make money, but I'm not making that
money off it,
that side of the money, right? So I got all this equipment, but I'm not actually putting it to use. And there's a bunch of people out here who would die to have this equipment so that they can like make a living with it, right? So I'm like, you know what? I think it was last year. I said, you know what? I'm gonna start taking some clients on. I'm gonna start actually doing this and learning this side. So, and then I'm thinking, okay, well, I can teach this side while I'm doing it. So now I'm trying to like figure out the automation part. How do I create a business that's self-sufficient, that and hire people, and trying to figure out that part of it so I can teach that part of it.
You have started to get like a bit more of a regular team in, haven't you? Like you got what's the lady who comes in called again?
Raquel. Her name is Raquel, and I have Loveland. It's supposed to start soon.
Oh, cool.
Those people might change. What we don't know what might happen, right? But yeah, I'm starting to figure out that part, and like and it's exciting. It's exciting because the journey continues, right? And I'm documenting it, and people need to see that because they need to know that that's a part of the industry that you could possibly aim to go towards. Some people might not want to, create a full-fledged business. They just might want to supplement their income with garment decorating, or they might want the full-fledged business, but they might want a business that they own and operate themselves, or you might want to get employees to, to operate it for you eventually, so you can step away, So there's so many different routes that you can take. You might want to digitize. You might just want to create vector files for people. You might want to just be a company that burns screens, or there's so many different avenues and so many different areas that you can narrow your business down. But the main thing that I want people to kind of consider doing something that you really enjoy doing, because like I said at the beginning of our conversation, during this whole journey, if you don't enjoy doing something, if you're doing something for the wrong reasons, you're not gonna, it's not, you might obtain some level of success, but ultimately it's not going to be sustainable for you because you don't enjoy it. You're just creating another job for yourself. If you left your job to be an entrepreneur, to be a full-time garment decorator, then you left your job because you, like me, you didn't like, or you got tired of having a job, having somewhere where you had to be, and somebody told you you got to do this, you got to do this. So don't leave your job to create another job for yourself. So start concentrating on, what do I love to do? About what do I want to focus on? What do I enjoy doing? What would I be doing even if I wasn't getting paid? And try to pursue that with a passion. And don't even look at the money. Just do it. Just do it and figure out the financial part as you progress in that specific business. That's what I did, and it worked out for me. And everything, there's no one path to success. So because I don't really, it's kind of surreal because I don't really, I guess I am successful. I guess I don't know what is success, right? Success is relative. I don't know. Like, some people might think success is a certain amount of monetary gain. Some people might think.
Yeah, there was this really cool thing that you said actually in one of your videos. It was about, like, you're basically telling your audience, guys, can we stop looking at ourselves as like side hustlers and like hobbyists? Not hobbyists, because I do get that some people just enjoy garment decoration, but you're basically, in your message, you were kind of saying, like, take yourself seriously, be a business person, and there isn't a certain scale that you have to be. You just have to have the mindset of a business person and just start from there.
Right, definitely.
So that was really cool.
When I started to like really understand what was happening, and I started to like take it more seriously, your mindset shifts and you start doing things differently, right? You start doing things in a way that's going to be nothing but beneficial to the whole way you live, right? And this is the easiest way I can get people to understand. If you treat what you're doing as a side hustle, or just something that you're doing on the side, you're not going to create an LLC. You're not going to start paying yourself from your company. You're not going to be able to purchase an item of significance because you no longer have a W-2 to show. But when you start taking things seriously, you start looking at those things and be like, okay, well, I quit my job and I'm doing this and I enjoy doing it, but I just don't take it that seriously. Or like, or I work at my job and I'm doing this thing on the side, but on paper, you need to be able to show certain things in order to combine your finances to be able to purchase something of significance, like a house, right? Or a car, right? So, or get a loan to invest more into your business. Anything of significance, you have to be able to show that you can afford those things, and you won't be able to, you won't take those steps until you start taking business seriously. Yeah.
Do you think people are scared to call their side hustle because that's kind of like not very serious?
I think they are.
Yeah, they're like scared
Yeah.
to tell family members like, oh, I'm starting this business, because that's got negative connotations of like failure, whereas you can't really fail a side
Yeah.
hustle, just like a
Exactly right. There's
Mm.
not, you don't put that much pressure on yourself because it's just a side hustle. Yeah, definitely. And also like it's kind of like, so imagine somebody who has, a great job with benefits and says, hey mom, hey dad, I'm gonna quit my job and become a YouTuber.
yeah.
What? Like what? Hey mom, hey dad, I think I'm gonna take this vinyl and this heat press, and I think I'm gonna try to do this. Like what? Like you know what I mean? Like the way I'm explaining, I'm dumbing it down so you
But
get
surely
the
this
idea.
is what you did when you were younger, because you went into music, and music has the same kind of thing. It's like super risky business.
Yeah.
It's like you're not really scared of that, because you've already like, you just try what you want, do
With
what
the
your
music,
talent leads you.
yeah, with the music, it was I never really told anybody, hey, I'm gonna do this, right? I don't think I actually, yeah, I don't think I ever did that with one thing. I think the one time I had a conversation with my mother and my sister about this plan I had on YouTube, I got exactly the response that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
You better not, don't do that, No, you got a good job. What are you talking about? And I know for a fact this idea would have worked, even to this day, right? And I've given this idea away on my YouTube channel. I'm not going to say it now because I'm going to pursue it. But I don't know why people aren't doing this in every city. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. But I'll tell you guys what it is right now because I
You
might
don't have to.
I might
You
not
don't
ever
have
do
to,
it.
Alan. You
Right?
don't have to.
Are you sure? It's a great idea.
I do want to know, but I also, yeah, go on then. You did
Okay.
say ideas were just, we were saying earlier
Right.
that
Okay.
ideas are just,
Here's an idea for you
but then-
guys, right?
go on
Matter of
then.
fact, all right. Here's an idea for you guys. So sports are huge, right? And everybody watches sports. Okay, let me ask you this question. Did you play a sport in high school or college or what
Do you want
sport
to
did
guess
you-
my sport? Guess my sport. I'm I'm short and stocky.
Gymnastics.
No
Short
one
and
can
stocky.
no one can lift me above their head, Alan. No, I was a rugby player.
Rugby. That's awesome.
Hockey goalie.
Listen, rugby is a tough sport.
I know, I was a right hard ass. Yeah.
Isn't no, okay, so that's soccer. Soccer's the original football.
It's like
But,
American
so-
football without the
right, without the
protection.
padding. Right. You played
Yeah.
rugby?
Yeah, right,
You're
little
tough.
hard ass. Yeah.
Listen, I watch rugby. That's tough. I'm impressed. And you're running back and forth. Listen. So, would you, if you had all of your rugby games, if there was somewhere where you could go watch your games, would you go back and watch your games?
Yeah, I think so. That'd be funny.
Right.
But
Would
more-
you sit would you I'm quite sure you had some moments where you're like, yo, watch this, right?
Yeah, but it might not be as impressive on the big screen when I retell it. I've got to like my stories sound better, Alan.
Right. The story.
Sorry, yes. Yeah. I would, if I could
So-
reimagine a good goal or something.
Right. So there's people all around the world that played sports and were great at their sports, or even have friends they played around that were great, right? Or and some people went on to be professional athletes, some didn't. Some, those were their glory days, right? So, there's people that are playing now who have friends and family that can't come to their games, but they want people to see them, right?
Mhm.
So how about you start a business, right, on YouTube, right? This is YouTube specific, the idea that I had, right? I was gonna get a few cameras, which I had already, and start live streaming public sports in my city.
Mm.
And the channel was going to be a hit. How do I know the channel was going to be a hit? Because everybody watches sports. The kids would go watch their game. The coaches would go watch their game. Their aunts would watch their game. Their uncles would watch their game. Their cousins would watch the game. And guess what? 5 years from now, the kid's still going to go back and watch their game.
Mm. Yeah. I
It's
was
like
actually,
a foolproof plan.
it's really funny you said that. My brother plays like for his town, and I did not know that they actually recorded the games now the overhead.
Mhm.
So they've got like this camera just flying up and down the pitch. And
That's
he's going to
awesome.
try and he's going to try and use it to. He got a red card, so he's going to try and appeal it by using the camera footage. But I'm pretty sure it was a high tackle. Anyway, but yeah, I didn't know that they were even being documented in that way. But yeah, that would be fantastic to have that as
Yeah,
public access.
live stream the games, and on the larger scale of things, it's about the kids, right? So it's about getting them seen by people who
Yeah,
would not see them. And it's about, okay, where are we going to get the money for next season? Where are we going to get the money for our uniforms? Where are we going to get the money for everything? Let's cut this sport. Where are we going to get the money to these kids can make their own money. They can generate their
Yeah.
own revenue to buy their own uniforms because they're that talented and people are going to watch them play. So if every city did that, then we wouldn't have to worry about where's the funding going to come from for the next track season or the next football season or the next soccer season or rugby season or any. They wouldn't have to worry about that because everybody's going to watch it.
Yeah.
Every
And you
sport.
could take little clips and put them on social media if anyone ever does anything good. Instead
Exactly.
of, that's not really documented, is it? No.
At all.
Yeah.
So there's an idea for you guys. Somebody take it and do with it what you will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I've asked you so much stuff, Alan. I'm not sure what else I can ask you.
It's okay.
Can you tell me what the business name, what the production? So what do you call like when people come into the business? Is it just A-Dubb? Or
So
like,
it's A-Dubb Productions. Like this is A-Dubb Productions Studios, right?
Yeah.
Right here. So it started A-Dubb Productions. My name is Allan Wade. So in my neighborhood, people used to call me AW, and I guess that wasn't short enough. So it turned to A-Dubb, and the name just stuck. So
that is so lazy. They won't even say AW.
Right,
That's
like,
really funny.
Some people just say A, like AW turned to A-Dubb, and it just stuck. And so it's A-Dubb Productions. When I was doing my music, that's what I call my production company. And it was weird because I always knew I wanted to do something. So I got my LLC back in, I don't know, 2008. 2008 is when A-Dubb Productions was formed as a music company, and now it's a garment decorating company. Yeah. So
what does your accountant think of that? They're like, what are we doing here? How are you like getting sewing machines? Like
my accountant doesn't care. It's 1-800 accountant. They don't give a crap. They just want their money.
Yeah, that's really funny. Oh, cool. Yeah. Is there anything else you want to like tell people about like what, like how do your videos like help people now? Are you still doing like, are they really for garment decorators at a certain level? Are you like trying to level up in terms of complexity and not quite the newbies, or like who are you
so
right
now I'm actually struggling with that because right now I kind of want to digress. I kind of want to revert back to what I did when I was starting, because I don't want the garment decorator or the people that are just starting off to feel like they don't have an outlet or a person to show them how to start off, especially with these new technologies coming out. So I found myself going back to the beginning with vinyl cutting and stuff like that, because I don't know, I more so like to help people. And once you help somebody to a certain point, like they already have enough momentum to keep growing.
Yeah.
Right. So you don't need me anymore. Okay. Maybe for those that might still need a little bit of guidance, I'm still going to show this process of how I'm growing, but in the majority of my videos right now, I want to go back to doing, vinyl cutting and sublimation and showing how I do different designs on with the basics, because those are the people that really, really need help, because those are people that are in situations where they just need to figure out a way to make a little extra cash to live a little bit of a better life.
Yeah.
So that's what I really want to get back to. So I'm trying to I kind of got my two feet in. Here's another saying. I don't know how to say it.
I don't know this one. This is like a catchprise game. I'm not really good at catchphrases.
I don't know, whatever. But yeah, I got my hands in too many baskets. I'm hard with this stuff. Got too many eggs in my basket.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it?
We'll go with that.
Yeah, it's going to sound right now, and everyone's going to be like, "No, it's this," but who cares?
Right.
Yeah, it does sound like you are like one of the most inspiring YouTubers that I've seen, because you're very, very authentic to the point where like you've shown everything. So yeah, I really love your channel.
That. Thank you.
I'm sad that I found it like after I figured out vinyl cutting and those kind of things and how to do the embroidery machine, but hey ho. So hopefully someone will find you at the beginning of their journey so they can like really maximize.
Yeah, one of the things that I want to do now is I want to kind of like organize everything and put everything in a way that makes sense. Hello?
Yeah. Hey, can you hear me?
Okay.
Sorry.
My computer started doing some pop-ups and taking over. Yeah, I can still hear you. I can still, it's weird. Okay, so yeah, what is going, I'm sorry, my computer is just technology. What just happened? I see myself. Okay, there you go.
Yeah?
Okay, so yeah,
Okay.
my technology, I mean, what was I saying?
Your plan is to organize everything.
Oh, my plan is to organize organize everything in a way that makes sense that people can follow along from beginning to end. And I can make playlists on my YouTube channel, but the best way that I found that I think is gonna be mutually beneficial for my audience and myself is to just put it on my website. So I'm gonna start like put stuff in chronological order in a way that can follow along. So
yeah. It's a huge undertaking though, because you have got a lot of content. But
yeah, I got over 1,400 videos on my channel.
Yeah. It tires me out just hearing about it. But no, it's it's really, really cool. And it's just you've got like so much momentum. I'm just interested to see like where you're gonna go next. But
it's so weird because I don't feel like I have that much momentum, but thank you. I
really
appreciate it.
Oh no.
I don't feel like it.
From the outside, it's like you look super unstoppable and stuff. So it's
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. Well, I hope the t-shirt business goes like your own brand. I hope that like goes like even better than you imagined, because that's really fun. And
yeah, everything's gonna work out. Everything is fine. Everything's gonna go great. And it's gonna go great regardless of whatever forces gets in the way, because I diversify, and I just I'm not trying to be this huge thing. It'd be nice to get to a certain level, but like I just want to ultimately I just want to feel like I'm doing something that helps people, you know what I mean? And everything else falls into line. Like as long as I can pay my bills, I'm fine. That's I'm good.
Yeah. So. No, that's so cool. I'm really glad I got to meet you. And appreciate your time.
Thank you so much for having me on.